The British Overseas Territories, also known as United Kingdom Overseas Territories, are 14 territories, all with a constitutional and historical link with the United Kingdom. They are the last remnants of the British Empire and do not form part of the United Kingdom itself. Some of the permanently inhabited territories are internally self-governing, with the UK retaining responsibility for defence and foreign relations. 10 of the territories are listed by the UN Special Committee on Decolonisation as non-self-governing territories. 3 are inhabited only by a transitory population of military or scientific personnel. They all have the British monarch as head of state. As of April 2018, 3 territories are the responsibility of the Minister of State for Europe and the Americas. The minister responsible for the remaining territories is the Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State for the Overseas Territories and Sustainable Development. The 14 British Overseas Territories are Elizabeth II Charles, Prince of Wales Elizabeth II Boris Johnson Dominic Raab Elizabeth II the Lord McFall of Alcluith, Sir Lindsay Hoyle Sir Keir Starmer Supreme Court the Lord Reid the Lord Hodge. The term British Overseas Territory was introduced by the British Overseas Territories Act 2002, replacing the term British Dependent Territory, introduced by the British Nationality Act 1981. Prior to the 1st of January 1983, the territories were officially referred to as British Crown Colonies, although the Crown dependencies of Jersey, Guernsey, and the Isle of Man are also under the sovereignty of the British monarch. They are in a different constitutional relationship with the United Kingdom. The British Overseas Territories and Crown dependencies are themselves distinct from the Commonwealth realms, a group of 16 independent countries each having Elizabeth II as their reigning monarch, and from the Commonwealth of Nations, a voluntary association of 53 countries mostly with historic links to the British Empire, with the exceptions of the British Antarctic Territory and South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands and the British Indian Ocean Territory. The territories retain permanent civilian populations. Permanent residency for the approximately 7,000 civilians living in the sovereign base areas of Akrotiri and Dhekelia is limited to citizens of the Republic of Cyprus. Collectively, the territories encompass a population of about 250,000 people and a land area of about 1,700,000 square kilometers, while the 2 largest territories by population, the Cayman Islands and Bermuda, account for about half of the total BOT population. At the other end of the scale, 3 territories have no civilian population: the Antarctic Territory, the British Indian Ocean Territory and South Georgia. Pitcairn Islands, settled by the survivors of the mutiny on the Bounty, is the smallest settled territory with 49 inhabitants, while the smallest by land area is Gibraltar on the southern tip of the Iberian Peninsula. The United Kingdom participates in the Antarctic Treaty System and, as part of a mutual agreement, the British Antarctic Territory is recognized by 4 of the 6 other sovereign nations making claims to Antarctic Territory. Early colonies, in the sense of English subjects residing in lands hitherto outside the control of the English government, were generally known as plantations. The first, unofficial, colony was Newfoundland, where English fishermen routinely set up seasonal camps in the 16th century. It is now a province of Canada known as Newfoundland and Labrador. It retains strong cultural ties with Britain. After failed attempts, including the Roanoke colony, permanent English colonization of North America began officially in 1607 with the settlement of Jamestown, the first successful permanent colony in Virginia. Its offshoot, Bermuda, was settled inadvertently after the wrecking of the Virginia Company's flagship there in 1609. With the Virginia Company's charter extended to officially include the archipelago in 1612. St. George's Town, founded in Bermuda in that year, remains the oldest continuously inhabited British settlement in the New World. Bermuda and Bermudians have played important, sometimes pivotal, but generally underestimated or unacknowledged roles in the shaping of the English and British transatlantic empire. These include maritime commerce, settlement of the continent and of the West Indies, and the projection of naval power via the colonies' privateers. Among other areas, the growth of the British Empire in the 19th century, to its territorial peak in the 1920s, saw Britain acquire nearly one-quarter of the world's land mass, including territories with large indigenous populations in Asia and Africa. From the mid-19th century to the early 20th century, the larger settler colonies in Canada, Australia, New Zealand and South Africa first became self-governing colonies and then achieved